People will tell you to give them the benefit of the doubt, to assume good intentions, to believe their excuses, to trust their explanations over your observations, and every time you do, every time you ignore what you see in favor of what they say, you're betraying yourself. You're choosing their comfort over your clarity, their narrative over your reality, and calling it kindness, calling it understanding, calling it being a good person. But here's what nobody tells you: giving the benefit of the doubt isn't virtuous. It's not compassionate. It's not evolved most of the time. It's just cowardice. It's choosing to be naive because confronting reality is uncomfortable. It's pretending you don't see what you see because acknowledging it would require action, would require boundaries, would require walking away from people you're not ready to lose. The Stoics didn't teach benefit of the doubt. They taught observation. They taught discernment. They taught trusting what people do, not what they say. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." Notice he didn't say, assume everyone is good. Give people chances. Believe their intentions, he said. Watch, observe, see who people actually are, not who they claim to be, not who you hope they'll become. And today we're going to explore why giving the benefit of the doubt is one of the most dangerous habits you can have, why it costs you more than you realize, why it keeps you trapped in situations that are slowly destroying you, and why real strength comes from trusting your observations, your instincts, your pattern recognition, even when it makes you seem harsh, even when it costs you relationships, even when people call you cold, because you're not cold. You're awake, and once you wake up to how much energy you waste giving people chances they haven't earned, you can't go back. What benefit of the doubt really means. Let's define what we're actually talking about, because people use benefit of the doubt like it's noble, like it's the mark of a mature person, but strip away the pleasant language and here's what it actually means. It means ignoring evidence in favor of hope. It means trusting words over actions. It means explaining away red flags because you want to believe in someone. It means giving weight to intentions while dismissing impact. It means letting people hurt you repeatedly while you keep telling yourself, maybe they didn't mean to. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe this time will be different. Benefit of the doubt is you choosing to doubt yourself, your perception, your experience, your judgment, in favor of someone else's explanation, someone else's excuse, someone else's version of reality that conveniently absolves them of responsibility. Think about the last time you gave someone the benefit of the doubt. They were late again, they canceled again, they didn't follow through again, they said something that cut you again, and instead of trusting the pattern, instead of believing what you were observing, you made excuses for them. They're busy, they're stressed, they didn't understand, they're trying. And in making those excuses, you betrayed yourself. You told yourself that what you observed doesn't matter, that your experience doesn't count, that their explanation carries more weight than your reality. And over time, that becomes a habit. You stop trusting yourself. You stop believing your own eyes. You start thinking you're too sensitive, too harsh, too judgmental. Epictetus taught appearances often are deceiving, but he didn't mean trust words over actions. He meant be careful about your interpretations about the stories you tell and the story they deserve another chance when all evidence suggests they don't. That's the deception. People show you who they are. Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And she was right. But we've been trained to do the opposite. We've been trained to ignore the first time, the second time, the third time, to keep giving chances, keep hoping, keep believing that people will suddenly become different than what they've consistently shown us. Here's the truth. People are consistent not in what they say, but in what they do. The person who's late once will be late again. The person who makes excuses will keep making them. The person who lies in small things will lie in big things. The person who disrespects your boundaries will keep pushing them. The person who shows you through their actions that you're not a priority is telling you the truth, believe them. But we don't. We say everyone deserves a second chance, as if the universe handed out a rule book that says you're obligated to keep accepting behavior that hurts you, as if your peace, your time, your energy is less valuable than someone else's opportunity to keep disappointing you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change. But notice what doesn't change: fundamental character, people's core patterns, their default behaviors. Sure, they might adjust, might improve in specific areas, but the core, the way someone treats you when they're not thinking about it, when they're not trying to impress you, that's who they are, and that rarely changes. I've watched men waste years in friendships that were one-sided, in relationships with people who consistently showed them they didn't matter. And every time I asked, why do you stay? The answer was some version of, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're going through a rough time, and they say they'll change. But rough times reveal character. They don't create it. If someone treats you badly, when things are hard, they're showing you what you can expect when life gets difficult. And it will get difficult. Do you want to be with someone who uses adversity as an excuse to abandon their integrity? The cost you don't calculate. Here's what giving the benefit of the doubt costs you. And most people never add this up, because if they did, they'd stop doing it immediately. First, it costs you time. Every time you give someone another chance, you're investing more time in someone who's shown you they don't value yours. You're extending a situation that should have ended, pouring energy into something that's already shown you it's dead. Second, it costs you self-trust. Every time you ignore what you observe in favor of what you hope, you're training yourself not to trust your own judgment. And over time, that erosion of self-trust becomes your default. You start doubting everything you see, everything you feel, everything you know, because you've taught yourself that your perception doesn't matter. Third, it costs you standards. When you keep accepting behavior that violates your boundaries, you're teaching people that your boundaries are negotiable, that your standards are flexible, that your words don't mean anything, and they learn that they can push that. You'll forgive that they can keep doing what they're doing, because you'll keep giving chances. Fourth, it costs you opportunities. While you're giving the wrong people endless chances, you're not available for the right people. You're not open to connections with people who would actually value you, because you're stuck in a cycle of hoping someone will become who they're never going to be. And finally, it costs you peace. It costs you the calm that comes from trusting yourself, from honoring what you see, from making decisions based on reality, not on hope. You're constantly in a state of cognitive dissonance, where what you observe conflicts with what you want to believe, and that dissonance that split it eats you alive, slowly, invisibly, but completely. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." But when you give the benefit of the doubt, you're suffering in both. You're suffering the reality of being treated poorly, and you're suffering in imagination, hoping it will change, convincing yourself it's not that bad, making excuses, creating stories that keep you trapped. Why you keep doing it? So if it costs so much, why do we keep giving the benefit of the doubt? Why do we keep ignoring evidence in favor of hope? Because we've been taught that it's the right thing to do, that good people assume the best, that mature people don't jump to conclusions. But there's something deeper, something most people don't want to admit. We give the benefit of the doubt because we don't want to face what we know. We don't want to end something we're not ready to end. We don't want to be alone. We don't want to admit we chose wrong. We don't want to confront the uncomfortable truth that this person, this situation, isn't what we hoped it would be. Giving the benefit of the doubt lets us delay the inevitable, lets us stay comfortable a little longer, lets us avoid the hard conversation, the difficult decision, the necessary ending. It's not compassion, it's avoidance. It's not understanding, it's denial. And there's something else: we're afraid of being wrong. We're afraid that if we trust our judgment, if we act on what we observe and we're wrong, we'll look harsh, we'll look judgmental, We'll look like the bad guy, so we err on the side of giving chances. We'd rather be hurt repeatedly than risk hurting someone's feelings by trusting what we see. Carl Jung said, "Thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge. But I'd flip it, judging based on evidence is difficult. That's why most people give the benefit of the doubt. Because judgment requires conviction, requires standing firm, requires being willing to be seen as harsh, as unforgiving, as cold. But here's what's interesting. The people who never give the benefit of the doubt, the ones who trust their observations, who make decisions based on patterns, who set boundaries based on behavior, those people aren't cruel, they're just protected, they're just clear, they're just honest about what they're seeing. Trust patterns, not promises. If you want to understand someone, don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do consistently over time under pressure when they think no one's watching. That's who they are. Someone can promise you anything, can tell you they'll change, they'll do better, they understand they won't do it again, but those are just words. And words without action are just manipulation patterns, are different patterns, are truth. The person who's unreliable in small things will be unreliable in big things. The person who lies about little stuff will lie about everything. The person who disrespects your time doesn't respect you. The person who makes you feel crazy for questioning them is manipulating you. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." That's not pessimism. That's preparation. That's going in with eyes open, not assuming the best, but being ready for reality. And here's what happens when you trust patterns. You stop being surprised. You stop being disappointed. You stop wasting energy on hoping people will be different than what they've shown you. They are. You see someone being flaky. You don't give them the benefit of the doubt. You just don't count on them. You see someone being dishonest. You don't assume good intentions. You just don't trust them. You see someone disrespecting boundaries. You don't explain it away. You just enforce consequences. This isn't cynicism. This is pattern recognition. This is basic intelligence. This is treating human behavior the same way you'd treat any other data. If a bridge collapsed once, you wouldn't give it the benefit of the doubt. You'd assume it's unstable. If a car broke down repeatedly, you wouldn't keep believing it's fixed. You'd get a new car, but with people we do the opposite. We ignore the collapses. We excuse the breakdowns. We keep believing this time will be different, when everything we've observed says it won't be. The difference between discernment and cynicism. Some people will say this is too harsh, this is cynical, you can't just write people off. But there's a massive difference between discernment and cynicism. Cynicism says everyone is bad, no one can be trusted, all people will hurt you. That's not what I'm teaching. Discernment says some people are bad, some people can't be trusted, some people will hurt you. And your job is to figure out which is which, based on evidence, based on patterns, based on behavior. Cynicism closes you off to everyone. Discernment protects you from the wrong people so you can be open to the right ones. Cynicism says everyone will let you down. Discernment says, this person has let me down 3 times. When will I start believing what they're showing me? Cynicism is lazy. It's a blanket judgment that requires no thought, no observation, no nuance. Discernment is active. It's paying attention. It's collecting data. It's making informed decisions based on what you've actually seen. Epictetus taught, first learn the meaning of what you say and then speak. I'd add, first observe the pattern of what they do and then decide if you trust them. The discerning person isn't closed off, isn't bitter, isn't unable to connect. They're just selective, they're just wise. They know that not everyone deserves access, that not everyone has earned trust, that some people should be kept at a distance, and that's not cruelty, that's self-preservation. When you stop giving the benefit of the doubt. Here's what changes when you stop giving the benefit of the doubt. When you start trusting patterns over promises. when you start believing what you observe over what you hope. First, your life gets clearer because you're not living in the gap between what you see and what you pretend to see. You're not maintaining two realities anymore, you're just dealing with what is. And there's a peace in that, a simplicity, a relief. Second, your relationships improve. Not all of them. Some will end, and that's the point. The ones that were draining you. The ones that were one-sided, the ones where you were doing all the work. Those end and space opens up for people who actually show up, who actually follow through, who actually value you. Third, you get your self-trust back because you stop betraying yourself. You stop ignoring what you know. You stop making excuses for behavior you wouldn't tolerate from anyone else. You start honoring your observations, your instincts, your judgment. And that rebuilds something crucial, your faith in yourself. Fourth, you become selective. Not everyone gets access anymore. Not everyone gets your time, your energy, your benefit of the doubt. You become protective of your peace, and you should be, because your peace is sacred, and most people will destroy it without a second thought. If you let them, and finally you become strong, not hard, not cold, not closed off, but strong. The kind of strength that comes from knowing who you are, what you'll accept, what you won't, and being willing to enforce those boundaries. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when people don't like it, even when you're alone for a while. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." But you can't do that if you're giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, if you're keeping people around who consistently tear you down, who violate your trust, who show you through their actions that they don't belong in your life. What this actually looks like. Let me give you practical examples so you understand what I mean. Someone is late to meet you once. That's life stuff. Happens twice. That's a pattern. Pay attention 3 times. That's who they are. They don't respect your time. Stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. Stop making plans with them, or make plans where their lateness doesn't affect you. Someone cancels on you last minute once. Okay, things come up twice. They're showing you you're not a priority 3 times. Believe them. Stop making yourself available. Stop investing in someone who won't invest in you. Someone says they'll do something and doesn't follow through once. Sure, people forget twice. That's unreliability 3 times. That's who they are. Stop counting on them. Stop putting yourself in positions where their failure to follow through affects you. Someone lies to you even about small things. Even once you're done, you don't need 3 times. You don't need to understand why. You just need to know that they're willing to lie to you. And liars don't suddenly become honest. Someone violates a boundary you've set. You don't explain it again. You don't give them another chance to understand. You enforce a consequence. You create distance. You protect yourself. Because people who respect you don't need multiple explanations of your boundaries. This isn't harsh. This is sane. This is treating yourself with the same respect you've been giving everyone else. What? The people you lose when you stop giving the benefit of the doubt. You will lose people. And here's what's important to understand. You're supposed to the person who only stuck around because you tolerated their bullshit. They'll leave, and good, the person who relied on you, always being understanding, always giving chances. They'll go. And that's the point. The person who took advantage of your compassion, who weaponized your kindness, they'll disappear. And you should celebrate that, because everyone who leaves, when you start having standards, when you start trusting patterns, when you start enforcing boundaries, those people were only there because you weren't protecting yourself. And yes, it might be lonely for a while. Yes, you might look around and realize a lot of your relationships were built on you, accepting less than you deserved. But that loneliness is temporary, and it's honest, and it's clean. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Begin each day by telling yourself, 'Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness.'" He wasn't being pessimistic. He was being realistic. He was preparing himself, not to be surprised, not to keep giving chances to people who showed him exactly who they were. The right people. Here's what most people miss when you stop giving the benefit of the doubt. When you start being selective, when you start trusting patterns, Yes, you lose the wrong people, but you also become available for the right people. The right people don't need the benefit of the doubt because their actions match their words, because they show up consistently, because they respect your boundaries the first time, because they value you, and they demonstrate that value through behavior, not just promises. The right people, when they make a mistake, they own it. They apologize, they change the behavior, they don't make you feel crazy for being hurt. They don't require you to extend endless understanding. They just do better, and when you're not wasting energy on people who don't deserve it, when you're not making excuses for people who should be making them for themselves, you have space for these people. You have energy for connections that actually nourish you. Aristotle said, the worst form of inequality is to try to make unequal things equal. And that's what benefit of the doubt does. It tries to make someone who disrespects you equal to someone who doesn't. It tries to make consistent poor behavior equal to a one-time mistake. It tries to make someone who's shown you who they are equal to who you hope they'll become. Stop doing that. Stop making things equal that aren't. Start seeing clearly. Start trusting what you observe. Start making decisions based on patterns. The freedom of clear vision. When you stop giving the benefit of the doubt, when you start trusting your eyes, your experience, your pattern recognition, you unlock something most people never find: freedom. Freedom from constant disappointment because you're not hoping people will be different than they've shown you. Freedom from cognitive dissonance because you're not maintaining two conflicting realities. Freedom from wasted energy because you're not pouring yourself into people who won't reciprocate. Freedom from self-betrayal because you're honoring what you know. This freedom, it doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. It doesn't make you harsh, it makes you honest. It doesn't make you unable to love, it makes you able to love wisely, to invest in people who've earned it, to build with people who show up, to trust people who've demonstrated they're trustworthy. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. I'd add, if you want to protect yourself, be content to be thought harsh and cold, because the people who call you that are usually the ones who benefited from your lack of boundaries. The truth is, most people give the benefit of the doubt, not because they're kind, but because they're afraid. Afraid to be alone, afraid to be wrong, afraid to seem harsh, afraid to face reality. And they dress up that fear in noble language, compassion, understanding, giving chances. But there's nothing noble about betraying yourself repeatedly. There's nothing compassionate about letting people hurt you. There's nothing understanding about ignoring what you see. Real compassion starts with yourself. Real understanding includes understanding when someone is showing you they don't belong in your life. Real kindness includes being kind enough to yourself to enforce boundaries. The standard. So here's the standard going forward. 1 time is information, 2 times is a pattern, 3 times is who they are. Believe it. Someone shows you disrespect once. Make a mental note twice. Create some distance 3 times. You're done. No explanation needed. No final conversation required. You just move differently. Someone proves they're unreliable once. Adjust your expectations twice. Stop counting on them 3 times. Stop making plans with them. Someone lies to you once. You're done. Immediately. No second chances. No benefit of the doubt, because if they'll lie to you, they don't respect you. And people who don't respect you don't deserve access to you. This isn't about being unforgiving. It's about being honest. It's about trusting what you see. It's about protecting your peace, protecting your time, protecting your energy from people who've shown you clearly they don't value it. Seneca wrote, hang on to your youthful enthusiasms. You'll be able to use them better when you're older. But I'd say hang on to your discernment. Hang on to your pattern recognition. Hang on to your willingness to trust what you observe, because those will serve you your entire life. The way forward. So what do you actually do? How do you stop giving the benefit of the doubt? First, You start paying attention, really paying attention not to what people say, but to what they do consistently over time. You collect data, you observe patterns, you trust your eyes. Second, you stop making excuses for other people's behavior. If they wanted to, they would. If they cared, they'd show it. If they respected you, they'd demonstrate it. Stop explaining away what's perfectly clear. Third, you enforce boundaries the first time they're crossed. Not the third, not the 10th, the first. You don't need to give people multiple chances to understand your boundaries. You just need to protect them. Fourth, you let people go without drama, without explanation, without trying to make them understand. You just create distance, you pull back your energy, you become unavailable, you move on. And fifth, you make space for people who show up, who follow through, who respect you, who match their words with actions. Those people exist, but you can't find them if you're wasting your energy on people who don't. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." But notice he didn't say love everyone, love people who hurt you, love people who disrespect you. He said, love the people fate brings you together with, and fate won't keep bringing you together with someone you keep having to set boundaries with, someone who keeps violating your trust, someone who keeps showing you they don't belong in your life. So stop giving the benefit of the doubt. Start trusting what you see. Start believing patterns. Start protecting yourself. Start being selective, because your peace is sacred. Your time is limited, your energy is finite, and you don't owe anyone access to those things just because they want it. You owe yourself the honesty to see clearly, to act accordingly, to build a life with people who've earned their place in it, not people you keep hoping will become who they've never been. Stay focused, stay grounded, trust what you observe, not what you hope, and watch how your life transforms when you stop betraying yourself for the comfort of others. The benefit of the doubt is a luxury you give to people who've earned trust, not a baseline you extend to everyone who asks for it. Be discerning, be selective, be protective, and be honest about what you're seeing, because reality clearly seen and honestly accepted is always better than illusion maintained through hope.